I welcome you all to the very first session of Introduction to UNESCO Open Science Framework workshop. And to all the participants, I'm very glad that you are here and you have decided to sign up for this workshop and you are joining us today. We all, as researchers, as academics, we are coming from all different kind of backgrounds, and we all have been in places where sometimes we needed that particular research paper for our essay or for our research, and we just could not access it because it's behind a paywall, or we have to do certain data analysis but we cannot do it because it's not available because the software is too expensive. So we all have had such problems around our research, and which is why we are here today, to understand what is open science, how it is related, how are these research problems are related to open science, and how open science can actually help us, how open science can actually help our regular research, not only help, how it can enhance our research. And not only that, after COVID, the entire world has been paying attention to this problem of open science. And we will understand through this session why. We will try to understand what is open science, what is the global discourse on open science, why everybody is talking about it, how it can help us individually as researchers, as students, as teachers, and how it can help us, like the entire mankind, how it can help the entire society to come together and collaborate on bigger issues and challenges that we are currently facing. So before I dive deep into the session, there are certain things that I would like to share with the audience first. So firstly, this is the first such workshop that we are running, and we really would like to have your very engaging open participation throughout the session. And I will be your moderator and host throughout this entire session. My name is Dr. Pragya Chaube, and I am India Coordinator to the UNESCO Chair in Community-Based Research and Social Responsibility in Higher Education. I am also the co-founder of Open Science South Asia Network. I had previously also worked at DST Center for Policy Research at Indian Institute of Science on the particular domain of open science. And these are the three major organizations that have come together to develop this particular workshop. And whatever your feedback would be, whatever we will be learning, not only you would be learning and gaining something out of this workshop, we would be learning with you as well. And we would be learning how we should be proceeding ahead in this particular discourse in India. So this is the schedule. It's a 5-day workshop. Every day we will meet at 4. And today is the very first day, the opening, which is Introduction to the Open Science Framework. On April 2, we will be discussing about open science infrastructures, and this particular workshop will be taken by Dr. Francis Jayakant from IISc Bangalore and Professor Hemant Kumar from Central University of Gandhinagar. On April 3, we will be engaging on open engagement of societal actors. Dr. Suresh Namdev would be joining us from IISc Bangalore, and Professor V.V. Binoy would be joining us from NIAS Bangalore. On April 4, we would be having a discourse on open dialogue with other knowledge systems. Dr. Rajesh Tandon, who is UNESCO co-chair of this particular UNESCO chair, he would be joining us, as well as Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Asthana, who is the principal scientist at CSIR Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. On day 5, April 5, Open Scientific Knowledge. Dr. Momita Kole from IISc Bangalore would be joining us, and Ms. Ramya Haridasan from the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. So I would like you all to understand, to memorize this particular schedule and decide which days, on what days you would be joining us. Preferably, I would like you to join on all 5 of the days, on all 5 days. But in order to be eligible to be receiving the certificate of participation, we need you to be present on 3 out of 5 sessions. And also, why have we chosen these particular topics to discuss, particularly these open science infrastructure, engagement of societal actors, scientific knowledge? We will be discussing about this today during the course of the session. And also, as I had already said, I would like you all to, engage with the speakers, engage with me, engage with the host, and throughout this course, through various activities that we will be designing for you. We would like a very lively engagement, and as well as your feedback. When you are engaging with us, it also helps us understand whether we are doing a good job. And yes, the sessions are being recorded, so I hope we have your permission to do so. So today is day 1, the introduction on the UNESCO recommendation on open science. This is the link that I have given over here. If you click on this link, it will take you to the UNESCO recommendation on open science. It is available in 5 different languages, including English, French, Arabic, Mandarin, 4 different languages. And today we will be unpacking different things on what this recommendation on open science. For example, what is open science? Why is it important? What does this UNESCO recommendation talks about? And what are the different pillars of open science? Now, before we dive into this topic, I would like you all to take a poll, and we would like to understand where what is the understanding of our audience on this particular topic. Sonuji, can you launch the preliminary understanding poll? Thank you. So we will give you 2 minutes. Please go through these questions, and we have a very active chat box, and I'm very happy about it. Everyone, I really encourage you to please.
Yeah, shall we read the questions? Oh, it's okay.
We will, I would really encourage everyone to please, use the chat box for the conversations. And okay, I see one comment from Sona Jharia ma'am. Thank you so much. It's a huge encouragement that you are here. Also, what is the result on polls? Yes, only 27 people have voted so far. Please, we are waiting for more polls.
At least 50%, maybe, yeah.
Yes, at least 50%. And till we are waiting, I would introduce our speaker for this session. So today we have with us Dr. Sugiura from UNESCO Beijing. So Dr. I was raised in France from Japanese parents. She has studied in France, Belgium, Spain, and the UK. She is agricultural engineer and hydrologist with a PhD from Cranfield University in the UK. Before joining UNESCO, she has worked at International Center for Water Hazard and Risk Management under UNESCO's auspices in Tsukuba, Japan. There, she focused on flood modeling, flood risk assessment for Indus River Basin in Pakistan. Currently, she serves as the program specialist for natural sciences in the regional office for East Asia based in Beijing. Her efforts in UNESCO are driven by a profound belief in the transformative power of science and engineering to benefit humanity. She is especially dedicated to advancing the principles of open science as outlined in the UNESCO recommendation on open science adopted in November 2021. Her focus is on fostering fair and inclusive mechanisms for the implementation of open science through UNESCO different science programs, ensuring that it strengthens the participation of all societal actors in the creation and sharing of knowledge. This includes a commitment to engaging women, youth, and indigenous groups to ensure the Article 27 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is realized by everyone, ensuring that no one is left behind in a collective pursuit of knowledge and innovation. This is perhaps one of the most brilliant bios I have read. I think this is a very shared values that we have, that we both want to see science aiding to the greater benefit of humanity. And I would like to give you the floor. Let me just check how many people we have. Oh, well, 70
we're
people have
almost there.
actually. Yes. I think we are ready to discuss the poll results. So do we want to end the poll over here?
We can just leave it maybe running and we can comment. If that's, yeah. So yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Pragya, for the introduction. So I'm Sugiura, the program specialist for natural sciences at the regional office for East Asia in Beijing. So yeah, so I'm really happy to be with you. For us, it's evening already. So to take you first today on an introductory lecture on what is the intention of the open science recommendation and how is and why it happened and so on. So first, let's go to see the preliminary questions. So, okay, so actually most of our audience are somewhat familiar with open science concept. That's great. Then which of the following best describe open science? So we have scientific discipline on open source, the practice of making science accessible to yeah, I can't see the whole, it's accessible to all levels of societies and of movement. So the most is number 2. Okay, so yes, I think I have a nice understanding. Which of these is a key principle of open science? Transparency, accessibility, and publishing research before. Okay, and most of you think of accessibility of data and research results and transparency experimental methodology. Yes, that's correct. Then do you think open science is important for global challenges like climate change? Great to see an 85% of yes. Then which stakeholders do you believe play a crucial role in open science? So most of you think it's you, the researchers and the academic institutions. That's okay, great. And number 2, government, public sector, and then private sector. Okay, great. Noted. Then do you take back the floor or I just start my presentation? I just start? You are mute.
Are you sharing your screen?
Not yet, but I'm just asking if now I just take the floor. I just start then. Okay, noted.
Yes.
I will up. So let me share my screen. And hold on, where did it go now? It's coming up, sorry. Can you see? No, I think it's not yet. It's connecting. Yes, I think now it's sharing, right?
Yes.
I can't see. Okay, because I can't see the yeah, I can see the screen now. Okay, noted. Then so let's go. Yeah, I will start here. So first of all, I just wanted to introduce what UNESCO is. So it's the United Nations Educational, Scientific, the S for Science, Culture organization. And we have 5 sectors, education, natural sciences, which I'm responsible to implement our program in East Asia. And you have an office in Delhi as well with our colleagues, Mr. Beno and and Miss Neha Miida. And we have also social human sciences, culture, and then across sectors, a communication and information activity program. And all of this is to build a peace in the mind of men and women. And as a UN agency, specialized agency, we do work within a global framework, and we promote science for sustainable future. And so we are all working together with our member state to implement the Agenda 2030 to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. And we have not much time left. And then also the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. And in the UN, we have decades dedicated to specific themes with like a lead agency, UN agency to coordinate. And so there are there are several that UNESCO are leading. So one on ocean science for sustainable development, and another one on indigenous knowledge. And then the latest one that was adopted last year by the UN General Assembly on International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development. So all this, we need all of you to work with us, and us to work with you to be able to then advance all those decades and their programs. So now, why are we talking so much about science? So UNESCO is the only UN agency with science in its name and with a dedicated mandate on science itself. It's because it's a human right. And actually, the Article 27 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that everyone has the right freely to participate in the cultural life of the community and to enjoy the arts and to share in scientific advancement and its benefits, so all of us. And everyone has the right to the protection of the moral and material interests resulting from any scientific, literary, or artistic production of which he is the author. Actually, now I would be he, she, but in 45, it was he only. So that's why we are working then on this promotion of science and services of science to society. And 2 weeks ago, a resolution was adopted by the General Assembly of the UN, the first one on artificial intelligence and the rights of people. So we should have the same rights online and offline. And so the Assembly of the General Assembly of the UN is calling to refrain from or cease the use of artificial intelligence systems that are impossible to operate in compliance with international human rights law, or pose undue risk to the enjoyment of human rights. And then also, most importantly, and then linked to open science actually, is the closing of the digital divide. So the Assembly is recognizing the varying levels of technological development between and within countries, and that the developing nations face unique challenges in keeping up with the rapid pace of innovation. So that's in that context, even though this was this year, our member states, with the digitalization of everything actually, and in particular of science outputs and data and so on, 194 member states have requested then UNESCO to develop this recommendation on open science. And so I wanted to give a bit of a background on this UN jargon about recommendation. So maybe you are familiar with the convention. So so we have different degree of bindingness, no, how do you say, between then the convention, the recommendation, and then declaration. So convention is really the most formal binding agreement. And when it's ratified, it's really legally binding by the member states which ratified. And for instance, you might be familiar with the Convention on World Heritage. And for instance, this one, not all our member states have signed it, so only some parties. Then we have the second level, the recommendation. Recommendation, then it's a legal instrument as well. And it formulates principles and norms for international regulation on a particular question. And then once it enters, it's adopted, then the member states agree then to implement this recommendation and make efforts to translate into national laws these principles and norms, and to report every 4 years about the advance on the implementation of that recommendation. Then the lowest level, just for information, is declaration. And this one is not legally binding at all, but it carries considerable moral force and serves as a clear indication of the commitment of UNESCO or United Nations members. So in the context of UNESCO member states. So back to the recommendations. So in that context, so it's a legal instrument formulating principles and norms about open science, or about what it is and why it's and how to implement it. So in this recommendation, we are reaffirming, so not just UNESCO, the member states of UNESCO, the 194 member states of UNESCO are affirming the importance of open science as a tool to improve the quality and accessibility of both scientific outputs, but also scientific process. So it's not just about data and journals. And bridging science technology innovation gaps between and within countries to fulfill the human rights of access to science. That's the background. So that's, but that's a bit blah, blah, right? So what concretely do we do? So first, this recommendation is actually the first normative instrument on open science that is agreed internationally. And it's also giving the first agreed definition on open science. And it's inclusive and in its development process, its implementation process, and its monitoring process. So this is the recommendation with the definition of open science within this the context of this recommendation, and the EU is using it, and a lot of other parties are using communities are using this definition now of open science. So it's defined as an inclusive construct that combines various movements and practices aiming to make multilingual scientific knowledge openly available, accessible, and reusable for everyone. So it's to increase scientific collaboration and sharing of information for the benefits of science and society, and to open the processes of scientific knowledge creation, evaluation, communication to societal actors beyond the traditional scientific community. So maybe I will stop here and we'll define then the pillars. So I hope it hints you already that it's not just about open data. It's not just about sharing publication or so on. So this, of course, is a very important part, and it's that part on open scientific knowledge. And a lot of people usually identify open science to open data, open access. Yes, that's true. But to be then to have open things, it's not just enough to have them online. They need to be accessible. And first, to be physically, well, I don't know if it's physically, digitally accessible. So meaning that you have to have the infrastructures to then have access to that. And then it's not because it's online that everyone can understand or reach that information. So you need the capacity, right? The literacy, digital literacy, and things like this. So we need also to communicate and about then science. So we have other 4 pillars. So first, open scientific knowledge. Second, we need the infrastructure. And third, we need to communicate properly on open science, so open science communication. And then we have 2 major things that are also coming very strongly in the definition, is that we need open engagement of societal actors. So science is not now only the product of scientists and researchers. We have citizen science, right? And the participation of citizen science to the whole science process is becoming very high. also, and that's something that also the chair of the chair from PRIA, the UNESCO chair from PRIA on community-based research has advocated very much, is the open dialogue with other knowledge systems. So other type of traditional indigenous knowledge. This is all also part of science and needs to be acknowledged and also like brought up into science and make accessible to all. So these are then the 5 pillars. And for all of this, we need everyone. So of course, open engagement, societal actors, we need the dialogue with local communities, we need the dialogue with youth, with minorities, and so on. Then open dialogue with the other knowledge system. We need to understand as well those local indigenous knowledge and the communities. And in UNESCO, we actually have UNESCO sites, which can be like these living labs where you can then get also all this knowledge. Then in open communication, we need to communicate within and outside. Well, I put UNESCO side, but also the whole community, not just the science community. Now science community is everyone. So that's the principles and the key pillars. Why I can't change up? Yes. And so these are more like definitions on each of the parts, but maybe I can just go a bit quicker. Yes, so open scientific knowledge are the publications, the data, the software, the source code, the hardware, in the public domain and under the copyrights that have been released under open license, and the open infrastructure, science infrastructures are all the equipment or sets of instruments, knowledge-based resources like collections, repositories, archives, scientific data, computational and digital infrastructures that needs to support then this open science. Then open engagement of societal actors, so citizen and participatory science, and then the communication to enable that. And then open dialogue with other knowledge system with the recognition of complementarities between different type of knowledge, indigenous, traditional, and local knowledges. And but open doesn't mean free. Doesn't necessarily mean free, and doesn't necessarily like you open everything. It of course has to come within a set of rules, and just to sometime it can be for security reason or and so on. Okay, sorry, I just can't see. Yes, so we have a set of values. So being quality and integrity, collective benefits, equity and fairness, and diversity and inclusiveness. And we have a set also of principles. So we need to be transparent, scrutiny, critique, and reproducibility. So we need to ensure the quality, of course, first of science. And that's something that has been very much discussed during the elaboration of the recommendation. So that was something that the member states were worried about. If we open, does it mean that the quality will drop? No, we need to make sure to maintain it. Then equality of opportunities, responsibility, respect and accountability, collaboration, participation and inclusion, flexibility and sustainability. And there are 3 main principles that are very important within then the open science movement. So first we open, but according to the FAIR principle, so findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And then, especially for the indigenous knowledge and well, with indigenous communities, we also have the CARE principles, which means that it needs to be collective benefit, authority to control, responsibility, and ethics. And for digital depositories, we have the trust principle. So transparency, responsibility, user focus, sustainability, and technology. So you can see we have mixed all this within then our values and principles. So first thing, open science doesn't mean free science. You need the infrastructure, you need to train the people, you need a certain capacity and literacy to be able then, right, to access things online. And online doesn't mean necessarily accessible either. So how do we link all this together? So that's what we are working on all together. Oh, sorry. Yes. So, and to transform then this, we need a transformation actually of the whole scientific culture. And because most of us are still assessed by the number of publication in XX journal, the publish or perish motto and so on, then of course, opening things are a bit can be a bit difficult, right? So even though journals, I think any researchers are more than happy to have the biggest read and number of read of its paper. So having the paper open is not an issue, but usually then data can be a bit more, and then process is even more like unthinkable, right? So we need a change in the conventional scientific culture. And we need then the human institutional capacity then to do that. And as I said, also, we need the adequate infrastructure. We need, number one, the internet connectivity. So that's why then the UN resolution on AI is also coming with that. So the digital divide, how do we make sure that we're not even excluding even more people actually with that? And then we need to align incentives and the revision of criteria of the evaluation of scientific excellence and the way scientific careers are then promoted. So the publish or perish thing. And then we need to be very careful as well on addressing the unintended negative consequences of open science practices. So actually opening even more the digital divide or the gaps between then those who have access and those who do not. And that's why we have formed 5 working groups. One on capacity building, one on policies, one on financing and incentives, one on infrastructure, and one on monitoring. And we have a strategy at UNESCO to implement in this recommendation then. So it comes in like 4 steps. So first, our Director General has an open science steering committee. So this committee is like a group of experts, and they give then the strategic guidance and the oversight of the recommendation and its implementation and so on. Then we have a global open science partnership with technical advice and guidance given by a lot of different partners. And then we have the open science working groups, and they are really the technical groups on each of the themes that I said. And we have an internally in UNESCO an intersectoral task team where we are coordinating then within then the different sectors, like from culture, from communication information, from social human sciences and education. All this, how do we are we participating to the implementation, supporting the implementation of this recommendation. And actually, the working groups, so we have one, as I said earlier, the capacity building one, open science infrastructure, the policy and policy instrument, the funding and incentives, and the monitoring framework. They are open to everyone. This is the calendar of the upcoming meetings. So all of you are more than welcome. You just register, you will receive the link, and you can participate. You can voice anything you concerns, your point of view, and so on. This is really like open to everyone. Everyone is welcome. So please just have a look. My presentation will be shared, so maybe the link might not come live if it's a PDF, but anyhow, just you can go on the link here. If you type UNESCO Open Science, implementation, the 3 keywords, then you will find then the working group and so on. And they're more than really more than welcome to participate. So this implementation of this recommendation, so we work at different levels, and we develop a series of supporting tools like a technical briefs, fact sheets, and toolkits and things like that, guidelines, share. Then we map and collect as well all the existing open science policies and strategies and the good practices. And then we analyze as well what are the open science financing mechanism and incentives that are happening in, some of our member states are more advanced than others. So we share then all those experience. We are also promoting open scientific infrastructure, and we're working with, for instance, research and education networks, and well, how do you see, like also bigger journals and so on. So who have also like now providing depositories and repositories, and so all this. So we are promoting that, and we do this building capacity also. So here we're really happy that Priya took this great initiative and invited us to participate as well. And we develop as well an open science monitoring framework. And our partners are the Global Open Science Partnership, the Steering Committee for Open Science, and all the working groups to which you can be member. And so here are like an overview of what is existing now as tools. So the guides, the checklist, fact list, and so on. So you can scan the QR code, or you can go online. Everything is available and downloadable. And then one more thing I wanted to show you is that the recommendation has been adopted in 2021, November 2021. And so it's been 2 years plus that we have been implementing. And last December, this first outlook has been published on the status and trends around the world on the implementation of open science and under the 5 pillars. And well, if you read it, you will see, so some of the things are happening quite well, like open access to scientific knowledge. That's the trend. And as Dr. Pragya has said, after COVID, it's just the trend, right? And it's accelerated. And open science infrastructure as well. So in the same line are growing, and that's the global trend. But open engagement of societal actors, we know that citizen science sometimes, like we have a program on biodiversity conservation and monitoring, and on this, like citizen science data are contributing to more than 50% now of all the observed data. So how do we acknowledge that properly, and how do we engage even more than all the stakeholders? And we need research in that. So I don't know if you are conducting any of this, but that would be something very great. So it's really like something that we need more support. And then on the open dialogue with other knowledge systems, same. So we do not have like clear, we have some indicators and things, but we need more research as well on how do we make sure that, it's really a dialogue, and it's not like a kind of, how do we say, a researcher going to a community and then writing a paper, and then actually all the knowledge from that community becomes kind of the knowledge of the researcher only. And then it was there a proper dialogue? How is then the integration of the knowledge done, and the responsibility and the understanding of all this? So this is something that we still need also a lot of research and so on. So yeah, so that's just in the outlook, and that has been published like in December, where you can have then the kind of state of at the moment of open science and its implementation. So now I would like just to, it's on my last slide, I want to also invite you in the region. We are working on doing several things with different partners, and especially we're working on the infrastructure side of open science. And we've been working with several groups, like the School on Internet Asia, which is a group of universities led by Keio University, and they are computer scientists and really like infrastructure people. Then the APAN, which is Asia Pacific Advanced Network as well. And we have a joint project. So 2 years ago, we have run a survey with the Research Education Network. So Research Education Networks are this dedicated internet for research and education. And then so in each member states, you have one or several. And so so they are really like the providing infrastructure, right? And the connectivity, and they can have different roles. So that's we conducted a survey with them on their understanding and how to involve them. And we have a series of regional workshop as well. We had 2 last year, so and we will have a few more this year as well. And we keep on we have main questions that we are discussing each time. So we are sharing, we are looking at what are the policies for infrastructure on open science. We are also looking at what are sharing the good practices. And we are also discussing about what would be an open science platform for Asia and the Pacific region. So our region is very different from other region, right? So do we need one? If yes, what would be the features of an open science platform? It shouldn't be just a repository or something like this. So how do we, what do we envision altogether for that? And then what are the indicators then for us to monitor to see then the implementation? And we'd like also to invite you to this exercise that we will be doing on mapping the available resources on infrastructure for open science, so that we can then discuss further what are the interoperability requirements for our region, for East Asia, and then for all Asia and the Pacific. And we will be conducting again a multi-stakeholder dialogue, and there will be also like a series of training and capacity building activities. And we also have another discussion that we are really interested in. And maybe here we also have engineers. I'm also an engineer from training. And we would like to understand the role then of engineers within this open science movement, and what it would be to define open engineering, and how do we implement then this open engineering. So these are activities that we will invite you all to participate. So please feel very, very welcome and join us then in this movement. So I hope then that you got now an overview of what we intend to do, and that we need all of you, and we can only do it together. So thank you very much. And maybe then we can go to the
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I stopped sharing.
Yes, thank you so much. That was a very informative session. As you can see it from the chat that was buzzing throughout the your presentation, people are actually finding it quite helpful, and they have like questions for you and engagement questions. So I think it was a great session. And building on some of the points that I has made. So for example, when she was talking about recommendation, that every member state is bound to apply the recommendations that are there and talk, inform about it every 4 years. So I would like all of you to inform all of you that India is one of the member states that has signed up to this UNESCO recommendation. And on April 5th, we will have Ms. Ramya Haridasan from Principal Scientific Office to the Government of India, who would be discussing about that, who would be discussing about what India is currently doing, where we are currently at when it comes to UNESCO Open Science implementation. And secondly, I has talked a lot about different things, including open science infrastructure and how that is very important to implement open science. And we will be tackling this topic tomorrow in the open science infrastructure topic. And now I hope everybody is aware like why we have taken those particular topics on open science infrastructure and open scientific knowledge and everything, as I had shown you at the beginning of the workshop. Why and how are we going to be unpacking these different facets of open science throughout this workshop. And now I will move on to the next part. I would you like to take some questions? There are about 2 questions in the uh,
I see.
chat session.
Yeah. So in the chat, may I ask about the kinds of benefits of the digital hub? I'm not sure to to know what you mean by the digital hub itself.
Yes.
The
Yes.
kinds of beneficiaries. So yeah. So maybe Miss or Mr. Nguyen, if you can just elaborate a little bit. So I go to next. Sorry, yeah.
Yes. No,
The
I think
next.
next is by
Okay,
God.
again. Okay. So
Yeah,
I think the question of replication crisis and reproduction research is coming up in big way with implementation that
let me read out the question.
Yeah.
He has asked, how do you perceive the relationship between the open science movement and the growing market of predatory journals? And what strategies do you believe are necessary to address this challenge?
The challenge on the well, yes.
Well, a very pertinent
How,
question in this current
yes,
atmosphere.
yes. So the link, how do we combat then predatory journals and so on, right? So I guess, yeah, we need to be really, we need to, all of us, keep this our standards up, and to make sure then that we do all participate in excellency within science and so on. And yeah, so you mean like predatory journals, like you pay a fee to be sure to be published, even though your work might not actually reach the standard in other journals, right? So to kind of pay your way in. So that's that's just based on the culture of publish or perish, right? So the more number of papers you have rather than the quality papers that you have. And so that's what we're trying to change with the culture of not just assessing the paper as a result itself, but then the process as well. So once you share then the data, and then probably we will end up sharing processes, then we will be scrutinizing the whole process itself. So you won't be able to go through. So I think that by definition, those predatory journals will just disappear, because they wouldn't have any sense anymore to exist. So I guess that, yeah, we need to
Right.
we need to change also that culture. Yeah.
And if I can build on your answer, when we are looking at open science from a systems design point of view, I think it is very important to address how we actually do responsible research assessment. And I think, Gauri, you will find answers, because there are federations like responsible Federation for Responsible Research, and then there is DORA, which actually somewhat already are looking into how we can actually address this entire ecosystem, that the pressure is not on publication through paying. As I have said that it is something that we need to be looking at on the process rather than just, how many publications and just that kind of. Okay. The next question is by Sona Jharia. Yes, she has asked about the question of replication crisis and reproducibility in research. With implementation of UNESCO Open Science, can access to open science research and data curtail these crises? Yes.
But reproducibility is like to reproduce a research, right? So that's kind of a quality insurance if we can really do it with the data set that is provided and so on. So or maybe I'm not understanding properly. So it's not a bad thing, right? It's actually like we are kind of scrutinizing. We can then really check all the process and so on. So this crisis.
I think I would like to address this question through the idea of the open research data. Once we actually have open research data in public, it allows for more scrutiny of the particular publication. There is actually an incredible case study on 1990. Like publishers had actually put out their process data on climate crisis modeling, and in which they had said that Earth is not heating up. And this is a case study by NASA Talks. NASA Talks is basically NASA's open science arm. And after that 1990 study, policymakers were convinced that there was not enough data to do any environmental policy changes. But the problem was, even though the the authors meant well, the problem was that the only process data was out in the public domain, which basically resulted in another 13 years when people could actually access that data and that software to redo all of that research and basically come up with why, like, there were some covariants and variables that were not answered, and then there is indeed some problems, and there's some climate change and some urgent policy instruments were required to address that. I mean, I hope this answers your question, Dr. Mintz, because I think this is what you were looking at, like whether putting the data out in the open would actually help us do, replication and reproducibility.
Yeah, we actually have also that discussion that needs to, at the moment, so yes, all the public funded research for in EU or in Japan, for instance, you need to release the data. But then it's like, okay, so it costs money to have those data online and to manage them and so on. But then is it really useful? Are they really reused and so on? Is now a research that is really conducted, and I guess maybe that's what it meant. And yeah, so we need your support as well to do more research on that. Is it really reused?
I'm sorry about that. There is one more question in the chat that I would like you to take, but this is by Manish. He has asked, can community be a part of open science? If yes, then in brief, highlight a few points. Can you?
And communities, yes, we need the communities to be part of open science, and that's what we really want to, so it's science for society and with society. So, but we need more research on how then we do translate. I mean, like, there's still a language, right? And you still need some background information. It's not like everyone can be the level of any scientist. We are experts, we have gone through a training and so on. So how do we communicate better than with the communities is then how we can enroll them more. So it's science communication for communities and with communities. I think that's how we need to work, and yes, communities need to participate even more.
Right. Well, I think with this we can actually end the questions session, because there is Dr. Anuradha Chakraborty has just raised her hand. Okay. Okay, this is the last question that I'll be taking. Dr. Anuradha, can you unmute yourself and ask the question? Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, I don't think there must be the problem. But okay, with this, we will move to the last segment, which is the post-presentation poll. So I have shared post-presentation poll assessment with all of you. Please take a minute to answer the polls questions. It will only take a minute, and there are only 5 questions.
Yes, I saw the question from the Philippines, and really, yes, if you just enroll in any of the working groups and so on, you will then be on the mailing list, and you will receive then any information from the file secretariat in headquarters. So you will be able to assess everything.
Okay, I think there are two more participants who actually have a few more questions. So till the polls are running, I can see. Tanushri, can you unmute yourself and ask a question?
Hello.
Yes, Tanushri, you're audible.
Actually, I was asking regarding that this materials only that you have already answered, ma'am, that you will be providing us after the.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yes. So this is for all the participants. This is first such workshop that we are conducting, and we are currently working with I to make a MOOC out of this entire workshop material, learning material, and it will be made available to all the participants after the workshop. And it will be made available through UNESCO's e-learning resource. So we will be sharing the link and all the learning materials with everybody after the workshop. Right.
Okay, so we have 57%.
Okay, we have some very interesting conversations which are happening regarding Victor Hugo has shared some International Science Council's blog on article processing charges, a very pertinent question with whatever we were discussing. And Anna has shared a link to open science and open scholarship communities, a hub where academics learn from their peers to make their workflows more open. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Anna and Victor. Please share all the resources that you have, and we can actually continue this discussion. Okay. I think I will be ending the poll in another 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, we have 67%.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Then
Yes,
the first,
ending the
how would
poll.
you
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so how would you describe the main goal of the UNESCO recommendation on open science? So promote digital literacy and so 68% said to encourage scientific collaboration across borders. Yes, that's one of the things, and I think we can say as well to promote digital literacy, because if we don't have digital literacy, then anything online is not accessible to you, or you cannot really understand it. So what are some of the barriers to the implementation of open science that UNESCO aims to address? Financial constraint, intellectual property laws, lack of digital infrastructure, all of the above. Yes, we have 76% saying that. And yes, we need all to work on all of these barriers. So how can individual contribute to open science movement? So by advocating, so we have, okay, number one is 74, engaging in public science communication. Yes, that's true, but actually all of these are true. So advocating open access, participating in citizen science projects, so can all do that. And so then what role do you think open data plays in open science? Yes, it's essential. Yes, for transparency report. Yes, we agree. And then see now, let's see if I manage to to give you some incentive to participate. Very likely, yes. Thank you so much. So hopefully you stay with us. You join the community, and so in Beijing or in daily office, my colleagues, we maybe I will share at some point, yes, their email address as well, because you have an office in Delhi also working. So we'll be I'll do that. So you can call us. Well, I mean, you can contact us as well if anything specific and so on. So okay, so thank you so much from my side, and I don't know, Pragya, if you want to close. So thank you. That was really great to join with the Indian open science community.
Yes. Thank you so much, That was an incredible session. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot of new things, and I hope this is true for all the audience. And thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sharing my uh, screen once again to share with you the schedule for the upcoming days, like what you can actually, what you have actually signed up for. So tomorrow we'll be discussing about the open science infrastructures. On 3rd of April, we'll be discussing about open engagement of societal actors. On April 4th, we'll be discussing about open dialogue with other knowledge systems. And on April 5th, we will be discussing about open scientific knowledge. And please make sure that in order to receive a certificate, you have to attend at least 3 out of 5 sessions. But I would highly recommend you all to attend all 5 sessions, because trust me, it will be very interesting, very informative. And yeah, I guess this is this is it for today. And thank you so much. And hopefully I will see a lot of you returning tomorrow and in the week to come. And thank you so much. I know this, you prepared everything on such a very short notice, but it was an incredible presentation, and it was great having you here and discuss about open science with all our participants. Thank you so much.
Team. Thank you very much. Then
Bye.
everyone.
We are closing the session.